What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and I am joined by my good friend, Degenerate Jay. And we thought, or I thought at least, we should do something a little bit different for this video. This is more of a, kind of a personal thing. I like to do these kind of things. I actually think it kind of just helps you get to know us. No, I guess normally it would be me, but I thought, Jay, again, we're close friends. We make videos like this all the time. And, I think we both deal with internet stuff. And it's not... I don't know exactly what the title of this video is, the time that you guys are seeing it, but I want to talk about basically the reception that we get online. It could be, we can talk about the good, the bad, the in-between. Maybe it's because I've become a little bit more spiritual in the last, month or so with things that have gone on in my life, but I try to keep a pretty consistent idea of how I see hate online, whether it's directed at me or whether it's just, kind of hate in the, in the stratosphere of Twitter or anything, which is also hell on earth or anything else. I kind of try to keep, this kind of like baseline code with that stuff. And sometimes I slip up and I have no problem saying that. And then there's obviously like normal criticism. I guess what I want to say. Well, number one, make sure you guys are subscribed to Jay. That's the most important reason why you should be here. Number two, I don't want this to come across as we're whining, right, Jay? Because I think the first thing people maybe will specifically tell me is I whine too much, I talk too much, and we're just doing this kind of like to take cover. I want to make the distinction between criticism, which I think both of us understand is different than, just flat out hate, right? Hating to hate. And I do want to just make that clear now, and, we'll talk about that in this video. So real quick, Jay, thank you for being here.
Hey, thanks, man. I'm really kind of disappointed. I have to scramble here and get rid of my notebook I had of complaints, though, so I can just be non-biased. I was actually here to vent, but
yeah, he had a hate book, and then I changed the script. So I don't know. I guess I'll go first just to maybe give Jay a couple of seconds to organize his thoughts. But I guess I don't know what I want to say in this video, and it's maybe even stuff I've said in the comments. Right? Number one, I actually do read the comments. I don't know if this is like a self-reflective kind of thing. You guys are coming here to get to know me. I do try to read every single comment. I used to be a whole lot better with responding to them. I've just completely sucked as time has gone on. It's probably because I make so many videos, too many videos, that I don't have the time to go in and respond to everybody, but I really try to read it. And obviously that's where this comes from, right? Because you read some pretty positive stuff, you read some in-between stuff, and then you read some just flat-out negative stuff. So I guess from my perspective, again, there is definitely a difference, and criticism is completely okay. I definitely do think I have a problem with, like, it has to be my way, or, there's things even in my personal life and stuff, but, like, I get that sometimes even a criticism, you could be saying something, as a criticism, and somebody could take it as an attack. And I would say that's more on the person that takes it as an attack, as long as you're, kind of saying what you want to say in maybe a reasonable way. I do maybe sometimes get a little too aggressive with just normal criticisms, but I try to really take them in stride and really try to listen to them and kind of even joke around with them sometimes, right? Where people will say things to me and I'll say, I know, like, or like my intro, like, I know it's stupid. I know it sounds weird. Like, that's just the way I talk. I can't actually change, the mumbling, what's up, everybody. I can't change that. So I just do it. But there's legit criticism, and I take it to heart in not a malicious way. And I do always try to improve. I mean that genuinely. I try to do it every day. And I think generally, if you watch these videos over, I've been around for a while, but realistically, in the way I do things now, it's only been like a year and a half, maybe 2 years that I've been doing things like this. So it's still relatively new in how I'm growing. And I take that in stride. I try to do better every day. I try to make things better. And I do think generally the response continues to be, more and more positive. I feel like there's more of an impact on people, stuff like that. The hate, my book on it is pretty much laugh at it. I laugh at it a lot. I sometimes go, comment back. Now, maybe that's where I make the mistake. Maybe you're not supposed to do that. I don't know. Just from a me personal perspective, I try to have fun with it. I do take some things to heart, and I know there'll be people that say, "Oh, you block certain people or whatever." And let me just clarify that for 2 seconds. No, I'm just, I really don't try to block people. I mean, that's just a general. I won't get too far into it, but I mean, if you look at my block list, it's very, very little. I let people that I seriously do think hate me and just like really do not like me, have nothing productive to say. They just say negative things. I let a lot of them stay around on the channel, and I probably shouldn't. So if anything, I would say I'm too nice in that regard. But it's honestly trying to give them chances. That's how I kind of view it, is I do think trolling is one thing, like hating. I think maybe there's something behind that, right, where there's just a little bit more to it than just that. So I like to give people chances. I like to keep them around. And, yeah, I like to try to laugh off. I try to not take much of the hate to heart. Like, obviously some things, I know my voice is weird, so when I see that, like, most of that stuff I laugh at. There are obviously things that upset me just like any person. I would go into what I would say with anybody else. If you ever see somebody on YouTube doing one of those, like, just videos where they're venting about the stuff, one of the first things you would say is, well, you chose to be online, right? You chose to do this, and so, like, what comes at you, like, you have to be ready for it. And I do agree to that to a big extent. I think you can complain about it. I think you can vent your frustrations. I think giving up or saying it's too much, stuff like that, I don't think that's right. I guess if you want to stay here, if you want to be an online personality, you do have to have thicker skin. I think there's just a general kind of rule about that. So I've gone on long enough. I'll see if I have anything else to say. But Jay, let me know your thoughts.
Yeah, I think that with all of this stuff, it really does, like you said, depend on how you take a lot of things. Like, for example, when I started YouTube, I would say that, it was years ago, and I would say that there were points in my life where I did it. Now, to be fair, nobody watched me until maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago. I had no presence online, really. It was just mainly making videos for me. I didn't really have to worry about how offensive I was. I didn't really have to worry about who saw what. I didn't have to worry about who said what, right? Almost the few comments I would get would be positive, because it would be people seeking out to watch a smaller creator. So I think that that's worth mentioning. But as you get bigger, I think you do just get an influx of negativity. I think it's very easy to categorize constructive criticism as that, especially when you're first starting out. Like, for example, I think it's very easy to take something like someone saying, hey, your volume sucks, as someone being mean. But I think often it's usually not meant that way. It really depends on how things are said. I think it's very important to take a lot of that stuff to heart, because otherwise your videos won't improve. If somebody comes in and, says, hey, Jay, this hour-long video that you made on this thing could have been 20 minutes and you would have gotten the same point across. If I get that comment 30 times, maybe I should be looking at my video. What was my structure? What did I do? How can I improve that? Because at the end of the day, I see it two different ways. There are two people that I work for. One is myself and one is my audience. And I do want to make both of those people happy the best I can while being true to what I want to create. I don't have any desire to just make my audience happy but be miserable, and I don't have any desire to just create videos for me only that no one will watch and that everyone hates. So for me, when I make videos, I'm really trying to balance those things and not be fake in any way, but keep in mind, well, what do people like? What brings a smile to people's face from my channel? What makes me stand out and unique? Why would someone watch me more than somebody else? But I always think about those things, and I try and deliver what I can to my audience is passionate and comes from that place. Now, I do think that anybody online, I do want to address one thing here, what you said about people who say, like, well, you chose to be online, you chose this. I think that while it's true, I think it's very, very short-sighted. And the reason for that is because that logic can apply to anywhere. And the people who say that never apply that logic to their own life. They never apply that logic to what they do. Like, for example, if a police officer said that, and if I said that back to a police officer, that comes off really disrespectful, right? Like, well, you chose to be a police officer. You chose that a bunch of people would hate you for no reason, or would think you're, the certain term that means that you hate people who look different than you, or they would say, a firefighter could say, like, well, you chose this job. You chose no income stability, and you chose to get harassment online. Okay, well, you chose to be a firefighter. You chose to be on call all the time and that your family's missing you. Like a veteran chose to enter the military and serve our country. A nurse chose to work at a hospital. It's like that doesn't nullify the crap and the garbage that comes with it that really shouldn't. Because at the end of the day, criticism is one thing, but people should have a fundamental level of respect, right? I think that when people enter the comments, And I'm at the point where it doesn't bother me nearly as much as it did when I was, a little younger and making videos, because you do realize that the people who do this stuff are trying to upset you. But when you have people entering the comments and like making fun of your family members or your spouse or physical appearance about you, like, oh, Alex, you're short, or Jay, you're kind of fat, that kind of stuff, it's not actually constructive. It's just somebody trying to get a rise out of you. And I do think that while, yes, you open yourself more to that by being on the internet, you open yourself to that by going out on the street, by walking down the sidewalk. Somebody could come up to you and say, you're a short, fat person, jump off a bridge. Anybody could say anything to you anywhere you go. And I do think a lot of people use the "you picked it" argument to not have to empathize with someone being a dick to you, which I think is not what you're doing. But I do think it's a shame, and I think it causes a disconnect where whenever someone says, hey, this was not very cool, people are like, oh, you're whining. Oh, you have it really good. And I don't think people think about it. I could make more money, for example, if I had gone into teaching. I just didn't want to with all the stuff that came with it. I could have made more money going into law, which I thought about for a long time. And any field I went into, I would have chosen the crap that came with it. But I don't think that makes it right. I think that people should be doing what they're passionate for and what makes them feel fulfilled and happy. And for me, that's this. And I always say, if you have something constructive to say that will make my stuff better, or you really disagree with me and you want to voice it, my one rule is always just, hey, I will take you seriously as long as you follow this one rule. Don't be a dick. If you cross that line to me, I no longer take you seriously in any way, because I just assume you're trying to get a rise out of me. But other than that, I am very open to grow as a person and a creator. I just think that there's way too little empathy with this stuff on both sides. Just like if I started taking comments that I discerned as stupid, not mean, but stupid, like let's say Joe Bigington down in the comments said, well, I think Batman sucks. And I took that and I ran with it and made a whole video about how Joe Bigington's a big loser. It's one of those things where it's like, what are we doing here? Like, what's the point of all this negativity? Sure, he opened himself to it by posting in the comments, but why am I doing that?
Yep. No, that's a very, I've never really thought about it, but by connecting it to being like, well, you say it to me, well, what about you? I've never actually thought to do it, but that's a really good point. I guess I like the idea that these people, some of them can be, I guess, quote unquote, redeemed, which maybe sounds like I'm high, on myself or whatever, but realistically what I mean is like, there's been people in the past, I won't say names, but I can think right now of like 3 different examples of people that have pretty much done nothing but not be very nice, not really criticism, but more on the just they don't like me kind of way. And I've taken the time to actually respond. And that's kind of where I draw, like, because, you'll see a lot of people say, I don't read the comments at all. I really don't think that's actually good, but that's just my perspective. I love reading the comments, and I think you get a lot of value from that. And there's many creators that, people will criticize or comment. I've seen it even on Twitter, and they say, what's funny about that is I don't even read the comments, so I don't even know. It's like, well, I don't know. I don't know. Aren't you doing it to kind of get some sort of response and have some sort of community? And can you really get that if you just make the videos and people just watch them? You can make an argument, but maybe it's also that back and forth stuff that you can have, in comments or live streams, stuff like that. That's why I love it. But I like, keeping those people around, because even then I can talk to them. And I've changed, I would like to say, I've changed the mind of a couple people that really, I think, just had the wrong idea of me multiple times, again, 3 times I can think of, and kind of came around to it. And I love that. Because I think there's just something there that was a disagreement. I have very low, patience, I guess, for people that try to that's just, I guess, the last part. I don't know if you've had much of this, Jay, but I have, and I will not say names because that's only going to get me in trouble, but smearing or lying about, I've gotten myself, not even because I did anything, but I've gotten myself into controversies with a couple other YouTubers that they started, I did not, and I really have no patience for stuff like that. I feel like as I get older, I'm not even that old, but I feel like as I get older, I'll only have less patience for it. So that stuff I want dead. And that, I guess, just also comes from, we also do have quite a bit of power that I think sometimes, we know, and I think you and me generally understand kind of our place, but I think there's a lot of people that don't know maybe what power they kind of possess or what they can tell people to do and what they'd be willing to do. And that, sometimes can come, out in different ways. So that's, I would say, kind of separate. I just wanted to throw it in there just to take some light jabs. Nobody even knows what I'm talking about. But Jay, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I think that I have gotten a lot of, personal attack type stuff in the past, especially things with like family members. Like, for example, when my dad passed away, a lot of people tried to use that as like a thing to upset me. I noticed that like there are people on the internet that are very vile with that stuff, or making fun of my spouse. I know people have done that to you as well. Just stuff like that is just unnecessary and not constructive and really doesn't add anything. All it is a very obvious negativity, which I think reflects more on the person doing it than on you. I think that at the end of the day, it's a lot of stuff that you have to kind of let fly over your head the best you can. Everybody's human. I really think it's interesting how people will act like, oh, well, I got a rise out of this person, right? But it's a very human response. It's almost less human to not respond to those kinds of things. Like, say, Alex, say when, God forbid this happens, say one of your parents passes away and someone's like, making fun of you for it or calling them names or something. I almost think it's more not human to say nothing in a way, because like you almost have to be robotic and move past it.
Right.
And it's weird that society, as Joker would say, kind of expects you to do that, especially on the internet, but you almost have to. I do think that, I've seen the controversy stuff with other YouTubers and all that stuff, and I've seen people try and pick fights with me. The thing is, like, I'm just not interested in it. I am not interested in YouTubers as a community in terms of many other people, right? Like, there are YouTubers I watch and enjoy, but I don't see it as like the big lifestyle thing. Like some people see it like, oh, California, women, dating, hookup parties for YouTubers. And like, I'm going to be the next Pokemon or Jake Paul or whatever. I don't see this stuff that way at all. It's not a lifestyle or a path to riches for me. What it is just, hey, I like making my videos. I hope people like watching them. Okay, on to the next day. I don't really have some of that same connection and aspirations to it. Like my big aspiration is livable income. That's not exactly
one,
like
that's a big one.
Yeah, that's not exactly like, glamour, beautiful women, cars, a mansion. It's not that kind of stuff. Movie roles, Netflix cameos. I don't care about any of that stuff. So, when you have like these big egos in the video space, I think a lot of people are very jealous of what they perceive as being a YouTuber. And I got to tell you, it's not something to be jealous of unless you're looking at the top 50 creators. There are months where I don't make minimum wage. There are months where I'm like, how do I pay my bills? And yeah, sure, I chose the crap that came with this job, but those are legitimate worries, and not something that people should really be jealous of and then lashing out for. In the same way that I don't go to the doctor and then make fun of him for how much money he makes when he diagnoses me with cancer or whatever, or does a colonoscopy or something. I don't say like, well, you don't know what you're talking about. You make $150,000 a year or whatever. I don't give them that attitude. I think a lot of attitude that comes into the comments is from animosity that's created partially by the people commenting, but also by big YouTubers selling it as a lifestyle and selling it as we're a bunch of conceited pricks. Who are like the cast of we're the cast of Jersey Shore making videos and hooking up at mansion parties and all this stuff, right? Like that's what they see from these big YouTubers. And so I think they kind of go into some videos thinking everybody's a jerk. And I think that these misconceptions of one, who's on the other side of the screen commenting, maybe it's somebody, maybe the person who says like, Alex, you're an idiot. Maybe that person had a long day at work. Maybe they came home and their wife was cheating on them, or their kid failed a test and is going to have to repeat third grade or whatever. It doesn't excuse it, but I think that there's a general lack of empathy on both sides when people see both those mean comments and also when they see a creator they disagree with. And I think that until people, become more comfortable with themselves on both sides of that, creators and commenters, I think you'll still see that. And because there's so many people, I don't think you'll ever see 100% niceness.
Yeah.
But I guess that's kind of my long-winded answer to it. I'm sorry if I kind of ranted a little bit, but
very good.
it's very complicated.
Yeah, that's tough. It's more than just one thing. So, I thought it was a really great conversation. Hopefully, anybody that made it this far, God bless you. Let me know and let us know in the comments what you think about all this stuff. But like I said in the beginning, make sure you guys are subscribed to Jay and all of his channels. The links will be in the description below. Great talk. Honestly, I wanted to do something like this, pretty different. I don't know how it'll be received. Probably not well, but I thought it'd just be fun, to bring a friend on, and me and Jay, we know, I guess, what it's like, right? So to have somebody like that to come here. So Jay, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, man, for having me. I really appreciate it. And yeah, just like one final closing thought that I think will help people. I don't have all the answers, but one thing that has helped me in my life is to try and assume positive or neutral intent when it comes to things that are slights. I try to be empathetic and figure out what's going on with the other person, or assume something is. Sometimes it's just someone who's mean. Sometimes it's actual mental illness. That happens too. I had someone who I think very clearly had mental illness, like lashing out in the comments and trying to throw like different actual like criminal charge type stuff at me, which I'll talk to you about after this, Alex, because I don't want to give that person the satisfaction because they seemed very deranged. But you will have that stuff, but I think at the end of the day, it's more worth just thinking, well, the other person on the other side's a human. They probably are not happy with themselves, clearly. Otherwise, they wouldn't feel the need to do this. And I don't need to feed into that. And I think that's how I try to do it, and then just move on.
For sure. So let us know what you guys think. Make sure you're subscribed to all the channels. Just we have so many of them with us combined. And we will see you all on the next video.